Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome on our ICF week conversation about team intelligence and teaming. Hello, thank you for opening your cameras. Much more interesting to look at the screen with live faces than black boxes. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's start getting to know each other. So my name is Paulius. I will be your host, facilitator for this hour or so, and this beautiful event that we are having globally. And I'm broadcasting here from Lithuania, nice, beautiful country at Baltic Sea in Northern Europe. Today we will dive into conversation about teaming, bonding, about producing teamness. So these are some of the highlights of today's conversation. And of course, you are welcome to participate by asking questions, by reflecting, by writing into the chat. And you can do it immediately. So you might even throw into the chat one word which might reflect your current mood or current attitude or mindset that you're coming, and another word where would you like this conversation to focus, so we can have two words and start building some team atmosphere or group atmosphere here in this room. Can you hear me good? Is the sound good? Yes? Okay. Good. So allow me just very briefly to introduce myself in context of team coaching and in context of coaching and of team coaching. So I will show a couple of slides, very concise slides. 1 second, and here it is. So very quickly, three little highlights. First of all, I'm here as a coach, as a professional coach. So you can see here at the bottom, ICF team coaching certification, which is a pretty fresh phenomenon in the ICF world, only a couple of years old. I'm of course a facilitator with Ericsson Coaching International, which is one of the oldest and largest coaching schools in the world. And in context of today's conversation, I can also point that I volunteered for some time, for more than a year, with ICF Communities of Practice, and was one of the co-leaders and ambassador for team and group coaching community of practice. So that's little highlight about the background and connection to coaching and to team coaching, to teams. And of course, on the other side, before coaching career, there was ample period of time as a manager, where, of course, as I hope majority of you experienced the work in the team, being part of the team, being the leader of the team, being some catalyst of the team. So that was the part of the job. So here, that's all I wanted to introduce about myself. It's more about you and about teams now. Okay. So let me check what are some of the comments in the chat. Yeah, so welcome from Vilnius, from Australia, from Belgium, from Barcelona. So we are here from all over the world. Ohio, US, Singapore. So welcome people from Africa, from Ireland, from Vietnam. Wow, what a wonderful group of people here. And please post one or two words. What would be some of the points of interest for today's conversation, so that we can get this coherence? What are some points of interest in terms of teaming, aligning teams, igniting team intelligence? We will have conversation about what we mean by this term, but this is a very interesting term that is developing topic in scientific society and coaching society. When we think of a team as a entity that has its own mind, that's interesting, right? So please post 1 or 2 words about, yes, collective intelligence. Thanks, Elsa. So that we can have little contract with each other, yes, where our interests lie. Synergy, absolutely. How team intelligence plays out, yes. Interconnectivity, wisdom of the team, absolutely. Functions or dysfunctional team dynamics, yes. I will share with you, and we might even do a little exercise how to align team members or team based on team intelligence map. So I'm going to share one very practical instrument how to facilitate team coherence and team connectedness. Engagement, yes. So these are the topics, yes. Team flow, absolutely. Team intelligence is very much about team flow. Yes, and Adam asks about or reflects about working against each other. So that's one of the dysfunctions. Okay, so let's dive into the topic, and because this is ICF Coaching Week, I would love to start with ICF. In fact, we have not so long ago, we have probably in 2020 or so, 2021, we have ICF team coaching competencies described and posted. And that's interesting. I'm not going to go through all competencies, but through to take a look at the first competency. Let me share again the screen. And if we take a look at the competences, of course, when we speak about teams, we want productive teams. We want highly productive teams. We will come back to this a little bit later. But the question is how to make the team sing or play together or create the music together, if I can metaphorically say. Because it might be like this. We have just crowd of people, and they might be team or might not be the team. But on the other hand, we want the team for some reason, for some purpose. And of course, in organizational setting, we want team to produce valuable results. And I will not go into forming, storming, norming, performing, but we have those models of team development and how teams reach the productivity phase. Yes, and for that we can notice that we want to develop both the team itself as well as develop the ability to deal with and execute projects. So we can see this very important distinction and synergy that is absolutely needed and necessary if we want our teams to be not just productive teams, but let me put that highly productive teams or value creating teams. So we need to know something, and we need to have a correct approach to go beyond productive, which is, by the way, requirement of today's world. It's not just nice to have thing, to have highly productive, or in other words, we can tell it, the developing term is value creating team, which creates value not only for the team members, not only for stakeholders, but also for non-human stakeholders. So that's the requirement of the world. It's not that some, just dreaming. That's reality. This is what the world is requiring. And we as coaches, we as managers, we as team members, we want to be aware of that and to find some ways to go beyond just simple creativity, go beyond just doing the work and producing the valuable result. So one of the questions that also is sounding in our chat, how to reach that point or reach that state of being a team when people are aligned, when there is coherence, when there is metaphorically speaking, music produced, not only a job result, but music produced by the team and team members, and let me call it teaming. And ICF competencies are the 8 competencies, but I would like to take a brief glimpse at competence number 1 through the lens of team coaching perspective. So this competency demonstrates ethical practice, but what does it mean to demonstrate ethical practice in regard to team coaching and working with teams? So let me single out one of the bullet points. There are more bullet points in the explanation by ICF, but the one bullet point which is resonant with today's conversation. And it says very simply, plainly like that, coaches the client team as a single entity. And that's very interesting idea. How can you coach a group of people, collective of people as a single entity? That presumes, this phrase presumes that there should be something more than just collection of people. There should be something deeper or more united than just a group of people. Because let me stop for a moment. It's very interesting when we work with teams. It's a very good question to ask the people that are saying that they're a team or they're aspiring to be a team. We want to ask this question: do you really need to be a team? And yes. Wave your hand, electronic or physical hand, if you were asking this question to the teams that you are working with, or to your team of which you are a member. Do we really need to be a team? That's a very important question, because to be a team and to maintain a team is a very expensive endeavor. In all means, by all means, team is very expensive. It takes effort, it takes time, it takes energy to create and then to maintain the teamness. If you look at, especially at business environments, for majority of business tasks, there is no need for a team. For a majority of business tasks, working group is more than enough. Collection of individuals who share the tasks. This is your task, this is yours, and they go and do their tasks. Maybe alone, maybe with their groups of people, with another working groups, and they come together, they share the results, and they get new tasks, and so that's not teamwork, right? This is just dividing the job and doing the job on their own. It's not a team, this is working group. And that's a very important question to ask and to find the justification for having a team. So my first suggestion about our topic would be, when we work within the team, or we work as a coach with the team, we can ask these questions, provocative question. Do you really need to be a team? Why do you need to be a team? What is it? What are some tasks or some goals or some ambitions that are not possible to implement or to create without being a team? Yes, and that's a good question. What can you do as a team which you cannot do if you are not a team? And that might be very good conversation for, developing the background or the basis for the team formation. There should be some purpose and some mission that requires us to be a team. That's very interesting conversation, right? Comments here about this question? You can open your microphones or write something to the chat. Yes, I see shared values and goals. Yes, these are the conditions for being a team. Without shared values and the goal, there is no way to be a team. But the question is even deeper. Do we really need to be a team? Because work groups also have common goal.
Well, I think this is Adam Feiner. One thought is they don't have to, but there are significant consequences. So to accomplish the goal effectively, they may need to.
Yeah.
Without that, they may not be able to accomplish their goal, or they may be only able to do it in an effective way.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And that's very, very, very true statement, Adam. Thank you for that. And this is exactly the question that we want to be clear on when and if we decide to build the team. So that's like step number 0 before we even start forming, storming, and norming, and all the other stages. We need to have reason to be a team. And of course, some of the reasons you mentioned, Adam, thank you. Some tasks require to be a team, and we need to be very clear what kinds of tasks, what kinds of goals or our like aspirations require us to be a team. And I see in the chat nice examples of qualities of the team and some conditions to be a team. So of course there should be values. There teams, strong teams challenge each other. Yes, Jacques. Provocation might be one of the modalities of working within strong team. Absolutely. And Vanya says that I have never seen team working properly. Yes, and this is today's conversation: how to facilitate that, how to facilitate the teamness and the work as a team. Absolutely. In majority cases, I work a lot with companies, with management teams, with several layers of organization which want to form a team. I either very seldom see a team, true team. No, I maybe a couple of years ago, I came into the room where the team conversation should happen, and I see this picture. Picture that. There are chairs in the semicircle. Here are whiteboards, and I come into the room, and people are already sitting, and they're management team of one company. And the situation is like this. There is sitting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, then 2 chairs empty, then the boss is sitting, 2 chairs empty, and people. What does it tell about the relationships within those people, between those people, right? So you come into the room and you see there is no team, or the team is probably it's not a team, it's maybe some hierarchical structure where the boss is alone on the top of the mountain, and there are spaces between the boss and others. And I had to work a little bit to close those spaces, to encourage people to take a seat next to the boss. But they were confirmed, they were absolutely sure that they are a team. But the bodies say something different, right? That was interesting, and we can notice those things. Yeah, and absolutely. VUCA world, and we now have Bunny world, and now other abbreviations that are even more frightening. So again, in those VUCA and Bunny worlds, we definitely need teams to accomplish those tasks that world is proposing for us. So let me elaborate a little bit on the idea of team intelligence. And I am representing here the School of Ericsson Coaching International, which I'm representing, which I'm part of, and part of the faculty. And we have, in my opinion, really strong team coaching models in place, which were developed for decades already. So let me put up again some pictures. Okay, that's here. Let's go forward to this. So what science says about the very possibility to become a single entity for like collection of people to become a single entity? And science is pretty strong, by the way. When we look at the working with team, again, there are some of the suggestions. We want to work as a whole, with the team as a whole, as if there is some, meta personality with its own mind, with its own habits, with its own thought process, with its own maybe even emotion. So it's as if the ICF suggests, and we have this in reality. We observe, of course, in reality, that at some points something meta level is born. It's not just collection of people, but at some point we have those moments of flow, moments of integration, moments of alignment, when something more than collection of people emerge. And that's very interesting. And this is supported already by science. Let me put next one. I will come back to this. Here is some citations from scientific articles or discussions in communities about the team flow or some brain states that allow this oneness. And that's very interesting. If I can read some ideas of the eNeuro journal. So when we have strong team processes, it's as if two in one system is working. Yeah, so as if there are people and there is one entity, as if there are individual processes and there is one process, as if there are individual interests and there is meta interest, which everyone is aligning into. And there is a very interesting term, which is like beneath the idea of working with the team as one entity, and it is this interbrain synchrony. So there is scientific fact that this is happening when some conditions are met, when some processes are engaged, team flow might occur, and it occurs. And one of our goals as team coaches, when we facilitate team conversations, we want to create conditions for team flow. And team flow is one of the prerequisites of this team mind or team synchrony, interbrain synchrony, which is prerequisite of team mind. So we want to do something to create probably it's not very easy or if possible to deliberately create team flow, but we can create conditions for team flow. And we as coaches might be very instrumental to that. So again, if we read the sentence, so it involves high engagements about the task, the compelling goals, commonly some processes of support of mutual communication. So all of those elements are in place. But the science says that it is possible. That's the key message probably from this slide. It is possible to have this phenomenon which is called interbrain synchrony. Our brain waves come into coherence. Sometimes you probably can, and I'm sure that you have this experience when people start saying the same word at the same time, or somebody is like catching in the air the idea which is only being born, and several people like feel that the idea came from the air, and they are just broadcasting that idea. So these are the expressions of that brain synchrony and one entity. And we can create, of course, as teams, as coaches, we can facilitate some processes which allow those phenomena to happen. And it's very interesting. We can look at some links here, and then one more citation from Dr. Coleman. She is using the words we mode. Yes. So there is the notion of the we mode, which is very much connected to the idea of one entity. So we want to as coaches, we and as team members, of course, we want this to happen, but we want to facilitate processes, and we want to facilitate the team conversations so that that we mode is accessed, right? That this we-ness is emerging and producing some action and eventually result. I will go back a couple of slides, and this is how Erikson model views the development or the development of teamness. And may I put it slightly in the different perspective? These 6 things, which are called rapport, invitation, dialogue, agreement, respect, and trust, they might be as stages how the teamness develops. But from the other perspective, we can look at it as some team level competencies that we want to develop with time. And that those team level competencies and like mastering those modalities of being together, they allow this oneness about which we are speaking. And for example, let me elaborate very quickly on some of the ideas here. What does it mean to develop team competency, which is called rapport? This is the competency that we learn how to be together in one room, be it physical room or virtual room, but we learn how to put ourselves, how to engage, and how to set our mindset so that we are participating productively in all senses, productively in terms of doing the work and productively in sense of the vertical axis being a team. And that's learnable. That's learnable. We can learn how to be together in some efficient, or I would call it even ecological way. Yeah, we know that there are different kinds of rapport. Like in elevator, there is a rapport that we just survive each other until we go from the level 1 to level 9 or whatever. Yes, and we have different rapport in learning class and different rapport in teamwork. Invitation, by the way, it's very interesting competency, which is like substitute for storming from another model. We can learn instead of fighting, and that's one of indirect answers to one of the comments in the chat. We can learn instead of fighting with each other, we can learn to invite each other to something different than the fight. And that's very interesting concept, and that's very interesting competency on team level. We as a team can learn how to transform energy of the fight or energy of the conflict, how to transform it into energy of creation through learning, and by means of learning how to invite people to something that is in alignment and something that is worth engaging in. I'm not even speaking about dialogue. This is the core of team coaching and team conversation, right? And interesting top level competencies. Again, very important competency to learn how to agree with each other. Without that, performance is not possible. If we cannot agree, we cannot perform, we cannot produce. And interestingly enough, the respect and trust also might be regarded as team level competencies. We can learn how to respect each other, and we can learn how to trust each other and us as united meta person. Yes. So this is one of the idea. How can we facilitate this oneness through learning some important competencies on team level? And of course, then transformation is possible when we pay attention and we develop those competencies. Of course, this is not linear process. There is not no such a thing that first we learn how to build rapport, then we learn how to invite. No, we develop all of those competencies like simultaneously, but just we put attention maybe on this or that competency at different stages of development, special attention to one or two competencies. Okay, so let me introduce the idea of team intelligence. Let me stop the presentation. I will do it on the flip chart, so you can make presenter view on your computer so that you can see the flip chart clearly. So again, this is a big question. If we assume, and science says that we can assume that there is such a thing as team-brain synchrony, that there is possibility for being one entity for a team, right? So we have some proof and evidence, scientific evidence that this is possible. Of course, we have real-life experiences of those moments of this teamness. But the question is how to formalize, how to, what kind of model could be useful and descriptive enough. And that's very big work which is done and is being done by Marilyn Atkinson, who is founder and president of Ericsson Coaching International. This is my teacher. I admire and learn a lot on a daily basis. And tomorrow, by the way, will be her webinar. So please find on the ICF site. Marilyn Atkinson will be present tomorrow with her conversation again about teams and teaming. So how could we structure or build some map of team intelligence, knowing perfectly that no map is adequate to territory? So there is territory, which is team mind or team intelligence, and there is a map. Map is only approximation. Any map is approximation. And the question, one of the important questions is how to build a map with least amount of elements, but on the other hand, comprehensive enough to represent the essence of what we are mapping. And this is a very interesting question, broader than today's conversation. How many variables do we need to create viable and comprehensive maps? And one interesting number is 4. We have in life 3, like magic number. But on the other hand, Marilyn Atkinson works, I don't know how, for maybe 3 or 4 decades already on the idea of 4-quadrant thinking. And she found, and now other people joined the cohort of other scientists joined, like Peter Stefani, who also was on Monday, was presenting 4-quadrant ideas. They're researching, and there is growing evidence that in many cases 4 variables is good number of variables. It is complex enough to describe the phenomenon in enough of the detail and simple enough to comprehend. So let me present a 4-quadrant idea about team intelligence. What kinds of intelligences, maybe, what collection of intelligences it might be. We all know the IQs, yes? Intelligence tests. So of course, an IQ will be here. So absolutely, there is IQ of every person in the team. And one of the elements of the team intelligence map is IQ, which is our mental capacity mapped here. So these are our goals, mainly, of course, team goals. These are our aspirations. These are our visions, the direction in which we are developing. And that's part of the team intelligence. We need to be aware what is our vision, not my vision, not your vision, our vision. Where are we heading as the collective? Together with that, of course, there should be this, what we can call MeQ. Yeah. So awareness of the individuals and physicality of the team. Because unless that each and every team member is in adequate state, it's not possible to team well, right? We need to function well as human beings. And here fall our interests, our needs as human beings, our processes. Here fall physical, tangible results of the teamwork. So here, this is very important area, which is like grounding this elevated idea of teamness. It's grounding to the earth, and says that absolutely every team member, every participant is important. Single personal needs need to be met. Yes, people need to function well. People need to feel comfortable enough to be able to work as a team. So we need that aspect. It's a very important aspect. Another crucially important aspect in team intelligence is EQ, or emotional quotient or emotional intelligence. And this is mostly about relationships. This is mostly about structures, social structures in the team, how we relate to each other. What is our emotional and psychological atmosphere? And we want to be very mindful about that and to create adequate emotional environments, let me call it. Yes. And this is mostly, when we speak about teamness, this is mostly about relational aspect of the team, how people relate to each other. We can also expand that a little, how people relate to the goals that they have or to the vision. This is also relation, how they relate to the idea of being one entity. So this is broader than just, emotional intelligence. This is broader when we speak in the context of team intellect or team intelligence. So in a broader sense, we need to take care and to somehow create relations that allow that oneness. And those will be human relations, those will be relations to the ideas, those will be relations to our goals, those will be relations to our past, by the way, how we relate to our past experiences, how we relate to our future visions. And these are very important. And of course, up there goes the echo from the articles that we just mentioned, and we can easily call it WeQ. So this is something that emerges. This is something that is not about me, not about you. It's about we. It's not even about us. It's about we. Probably you can tap into experiences similar to this we-ness. Let me add little e. So it's not WQ, but WeQ. Yeah, so this is about the we-ness. It often happens in families, between husband and wife, who have loving relationships for decades. Yeah, something emerges that is not me, not you, not even us, but the we. It's not that often, but it happens in teams too. Something that we can sense, but most of the time we cannot put a finger on it, but something of the quality of the we is emerging. And how this we-ness is seen, or how can we tangibly observe that we-ness? Some of the indicators are some coherence is happening. People start doing or talking or acting in some way simultaneously, some coherence is happening. And this is one of the indications of we-ness. Flow states are indications of we-ness. If we have a flow, we can be pretty sure, team flow, when every team member is inside the flow, we can be pretty sure that the we-ness is happening, that the we-ness is present here. And those flow moments or flow elements are so important as evidence that we-ness is here, that we produced we-ness. And in contrast to the other three, this one, at least I don't know. I didn't read any articles, and I don't have this experience. Maybe you have this experience, you can share. This one is emerging. It's very hard to go and create it directly. You can create this, you can create this, you can create this easily. You can create visions. You do the work and you create visions. You can take care of the physical aspect and you can create it directly. You can create even emotional or relational things directly. And it's not that easy to create Venus directly. But when those three are there, when the intention for Venus is there, Venus emerges. For me, that's a beauty and miracle for me. Observed the Venus multiple times with different teams. Of course, it takes work. Even in online setting, it is possible. During COVID close downs, we did team conversations and teamwork, and people came back after some of the conversations with that big eyes, and they said, "Oh, we felt it, yeah, as if we were together." So that's interesting how we can sense it. Let me call it even broader term. It's not just feeling, we are sensing it. It's like vibration in the air, which is the one. So this is one view. Yes, this is one view on the or one way to map what we mean by saying that there is some sort of team intelligence or the Venus. Comments, please, or reflections on that, if we can stop for a moment here.
Yes, I think it would be great to hear like a specific example of a team that you had that experienced this shift. That would be great.
Nice. I have very recent experience, by the way. It's a weeks old experience. I now can observe the first glimpses of the Venus. First, it's not Venus like at its best, but this is the goal of our work together. So I'm working with one team, wonderful people, beautiful individuals. And of course, big changes are happening in the industry in which they are working in their company. And some team members changed. And something fell to pieces. And they felt that this level of teamness was damaged or it needs to be recreated. Because levels of trust dropped, even productivity starts deteriorating. And we had a team conversation some weeks ago, not far away in the past. And one of the goals was the meta goal, the big goal of the team engagement we will have probably for, I don't know, it's continuing. We will work for several months at least. We will see. The big goal is to do the job on two axes that we had there. We want to build up the trust within the team in broad sense, trust between each other, trust between the management and the team members, trust between the tasks that they are doing and so on. So to build the trust and simultaneously to build the effectiveness of management. Because this is managerial team. They are managers and they have their own teams. And we had a conversation where we there was a big all-day brainstorm. We were envisioning how we want it to be, how we want to see us as a team. So that was like painting and creating vision of us, the team. And that was the topic. At some moment later in the day, and then almost, I don't know, 2/3 of the day, we spent on finding words to name phenomena that we want to be in place. And little by little, language started to emerge. We found words, how to name those things that we feel that we want, we sense that we want, but we had different vocabularies and we never got into some alignment because we understood different things and named by the same word and vice versa. So bit by bit, the common language started to emerge. Maybe we managed to create like 11 definitions or 11 words during the day, but those are keywords. And I saw the glimpses of, you know, this like, now I understand each other. So it turns out that we have much more in common than I thought in the morning. So these are the glimpses of the we-ness emerging. And towards the end of the day, they allowed themselves, they had courage enough to raise some, you know, elephants, to point the elephants in the room, which were present, but nobody was talking about. So these are some glimpses of the we-ness, and I could very clearly sense and see the shift in relational aspect. Relationships started to transform. And it never happens alone. When one part moves, all parts move. Yeah. And similar experience I had with another team where we also started doing this work of doing the work to learn each other and to understand each other and to find words to talk about what is important and meaningful for us. And those are some examples of real world, real companies, real managerial teams, which in fact are not that much of a team yet. They are just collections of brilliant people, but their interactions are not that, let's say, that value creating. Yeah, they create much more value on their own than as a team, but they see that it's not possible to reach their goals and to go towards their vision without becoming a team. And this is the work we do. And this map is a key map for working. We work. So in that conversation, which I mentioned, we deliberately worked on that, worked on the IQ quadrant to build the image of how we want it to be, and that we will call our teamness, our high trust, high efficiency team, or being a team at those high levels. But immediately something were shifting here, something maybe less was shifting here on the me level, and some glimpses of we-ness started to emerge. That was very nice to observe. And we had a discussion with stakeholders of the project, so they also acknowledged that they started to see and to sense shifts in emotion of team conversations. And those are people who are not participating in the team conversation, in those team workshops that we do, but some other people that have some business to do, and they related back that, I sense different emotion now. People became a little bit more relaxed. Yeah. So for me, this is improving. This is improving, right? So those are very nice, tiny little examples, but and for me, this is confirmation that it works. When we look in a systemic way on that, it works. We can put attention here, put attention here, put attention here, and then that emerges, we-ness emerges. That's very interesting. Okay. Let me check the comments. About books, I can Anna is asking about books. You can Google books by Marilyn Atkinson, but especially you can Google for a book which is about this very much. I can show you even the book. I just sent it to me. There are two volumes of book which is called the 4-Quadrant Dynamic Intelligence. Brilliant book by those two people that I mentioned, by Marilyn Atkinson and Peter Stefani. So that's my desk book now. I'm reading this book, and this is a lot about this. So you can go to Amazon or Google books by Marilyn Atkinson and Peter Stefani. Really deep work, and they both are scientists. Marilyn Atkinson is a PhD in psychology. Peter Stefani is PhD in physics. He's quantum physicist. Yeah, and a coach and a trainer, our colleague. So brilliant people writing brilliant books and developing absolutely powerful idea which can be applied very powerfully and very effectively to the teams. And if I may, if I may, I would like to share one example. How can you apply this four-quadrant structure for organizing conversation with the team, which has a very specific goal. Let me share a slide, because teamness is not happening on itself, it's happening during conversations, right? That's why we need to organize conversations with the team. And of course, one structure of the conversation is coaching conversation structure. So I will very briefly share Ericksonian, we call it coaching arrow. So conversation structure, and then I will zoom in into one element of that conversation, which I propose to organize based on this four-quadrant map. So here is our VQs and MQs, and yes, I already commented on that. They have their own, let's say, special aspects and special areas of attention. Yes, with IQ we want to not just to focus on future, on brilliant futures we want to focus. EQ is not just about relationship, it's about building relationships with between ourselves and between other important ideas, let's say, and so on. So this is the example of team coaching conversation structure, and I will not go into all details, but you can recognize rapport building, contracting, yes, the dialogue, which is small piece of this arrow, but the biggest piece of the conversation, and of course actions and value. And I want to zoom in now on the part which is called debriefing. It's very interesting and very important part. If we remove debriefing, it's possible to do team conversations without last three elements, no problem. We establish rapport, we do establish the contract, we have a dialogue, we have some ideas, we determine action steps, share the work, who does what by when, and say bye-bye, that was nice to meet you, right? But here we added three more elements, and those elements are about that vertical axis. You remember those horizontal and vertical axis about teamness. So those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 first elements are about production, the horizontal line. So we will be producing things with 5 first elements. The last 3 elements, and especially debriefing elements, is about shifting the team vertically to the teamness, to the learning, to the team awareness, and to the we-ness building. So in order for team conversations to be powerful and to engage team intelligence powerfully, of course, we want to tap into value. We want to access value in one way or another. For example, simple as that, to ask, okay, so what value are we creating for us and for others? Or for the human and non-human stakeholders, thanks to this conversation? That's a good question. And debriefing is a very interesting part. Debriefing is reflecting back on this experience, which is ending now, and drawing some insights and lessons, and maybe even shifting something on the teamness map, which you cannot see now, but but it's behind me, you know it. Yes, so debriefing is the part where team evolves. That's the debriefing part, and I want to share with you one idea: how can we organize debriefing through the 4 quadrants of the team intelligence map. And of course, the last part on the arrow is human bond creating part. Is appreciation, celebration, acknowledgement. So this is the short part, but very important part of cherishing and celebrating humanity, yeah, celebrating us as human beings and us as a team. So let me share this one. This is the one of the idea about how can we organize the debriefing conversation. And here the process is to go from bottom, like this little snake, from bottom, from physical cue to EQ to IQ to VQ, and we work with those, of course, through coaching questions. And imagine that your team coaching conversation or just team conversation is approaching the end. And you want to not only to close it, not only to conclude, but you want to facilitate team development. You want to facilitate team learning, which is so important. You want to facilitate team relationships development. Yes, so you can ask those 4 questions. First question from the bottom of the 4 quadrants. So what are the outcomes? What are the results of this conversation? That's very valid and very, grounding question. So what have we accomplished? And this is not only about the result that we already had divided as a work to do, but what else have we produced? And this is question on level beyond the team coaching or team conversation results. In all, if not in majority, if not all cases, when we have any conversation, we have intended results and not intended results. So this question is about both. So what intended results we had and what maybe not intended, but they happened. Let's notice them. This is very interesting second question in that quadrant. What have we achieved as a team? We can zoom in. What couldn't be achieved without being a team? That's very interesting aspect of results. And you can see here in those formulations of the question, how can we steer attention of the team members to tackle the essence of teamness. So what have we achieved as a team because we are a team? And this is glimpse on the physical aspect. And then EQ. Then we go to the left of the quadrant, and we can ask questions. So what kind of team relationships are we creating or experiencing or noticing? And that's, again, we zoom in, we focus, we sharpen our attention on our relational part, our EQ. And we can have, if needed, conversation about which kinds of relationships were helpful, which kinds of relationships were not helpful at all, which were detrimental. And we can have a conversation, so how can we transform relationships so that they are adequate, so that they are value creating or facilitating what we as a team want. And then, of course, we go to the IQ. And we ask intellectual questions. So what are our insights? What are we noticing? What kinds of progress we notice? And again, progress in multiple directions. Progress in terms of producing results, progress in terms of developing our vision, progress in terms of developing our relationships, progress in terms of whatever we put here. So progress is, by the way, there is scientific research, more than one, I found maybe more than 10 articles that conscious progress is one of the biggest sources of joy at work. If you want your team to be happy, make sure that they notice what progress they make, especially what progress in meaningful areas. It might be project development, it might be relationship development, it might be in the individual development. Yes, it might be human development of the team members because we are a team. And those, powerful teams are good places to live at work, or they are good places to be a human being together with others. So this is IQ level question or questions. And then we want to allow the emergence of we-ness, and we ask those questions. This type of questions, let me call it. Of course, you can come up with your even better questions for your team. And we can ask questions like that. What kinds of resonance or coherence are we noticing? What moments of flow? What moments of flow we created together during this team conversation? And this is recognition, and this is simultaneously recognition of teamness and we-ness and creation of we-ness, because that we-ness might be created exactly in this moment of the team session. Even if it didn't happen before, it might happen here because of this question. So what coherences, what moments of flow we notice and recognize? how our teamness evolving. And it could develop into conversations, how can we support our teamness? How can we facilitate something that is allowing teamness, allowing the oneness? So this is the example of the how can we manage the learning or development? How can we facilitate the development of the team, which is happening here and now based on the team experience that is now coming to the close. Yes, the conversation is coming to the close. And if we go back here, we can see the logic of that. And this is the last from the one more element is the appreciation element is left after the debriefing. Yeah. And hopefully that with all of those ideas, this path, which might look like it's going into some mist, this path is still enjoyable and productive. And we as a team might be sure that we will figure out what we need to figure out, that we will create what we need to create, not only for the sake of being a team, but for the sake of living and building that vision and mission, by the way, and then creating the results in accordance with the mission of us, the team, the mission of us, the human beings. That was almost last thing I wanted to share, and I left some time for our discussion. So that's the, in a nutshell, some ideas I wanted to share with you. Yes, that teamness is possible. It's based in science and it's based in experience. We can facilitate as coaches that teamness by creating conditions, by putting attention on relevant aspects of teamness. We can engage into processes which are facilitating both teamness and productivity. Otherwise, the team will not survive if we don't produce valuable results, right? The team will be dissolved if it isn't producing the valuable result. And you saw the example of how can we turn this idea into an instrument, into some like mini process for one of the elements of the conversation. So please share what are your insights. Let's debrief this hour. Let's do debriefing of the debriefing. Okay. So what are some of the insights, ideas, questions? So we can have like 5 or 7 minutes for that. Let me check the chat. Yes. Thank you. Aiste is sharing that it really works. She tried it with her team. Yes. Common language. Yes. Absolutely. The book is 4-quadrant dynamic intelligence. I can put it quickly. 4Q dynamic.
Paulius, it's already put the link.
Okay, so that's here. So what PH stands for? Physical intelligence. Yes, physical intelligence or MIQ on this map. Okay. So any questions, reflections, please? Tom, I see your hand.
Yeah. If you're talking about MIQ and you're talking about the individual in the team, have I got that correct?
Yes. So this is like attention to the person, to the
Okay. So what would happen if you find a scenario where the individual team members aren't really in line with their own purpose? So they don't even know that part. Do you then go back and help them get there before the teamwork, or how do you manage it?
Yeah. So thank you for the question. Without alignment with the team purpose, it's not possible to create a team, first of all, right? So of course, again, as I mentioned before about team competencies, it's probably not possible to work on one element only. You want to include. So our job as team leaders or as team coaches, of course, to create something that builds alignment between me and our purposes, for example. And if I look through some scenarios where this bond is not built, probably either this team will dissolve, or it will never become a team, or this person might be out of the team at some point. Because if we don't create that alignment, we cannot speak about high performance or high value creating teams. Those teams might, or those groups of people might function pretty well, by the way. They might function pretty well. They might produce relevant results, but probably they will not reach this high level of teamness if those four things are not in place and are not aligned. So that's how I see at the moment this situation. And good news is that probably it's never 100% alignment, but we can build more of the alignment. And that's the work that we do on a daily basis. We build more of it. We build more of the awareness here, and then we build more of the alignment with something that is beyond me. Then we look back at the relationship or relational power, and we somehow tweak and improve or develop the relationships so that they facilitate more. This is like serving those, yes? And then there is a big hope, which is rooted in experience. Then this we-ness emerges, which gives next layer of meaning to everything. Yeah. So that would be answer. I don't know if it's good for an answer, Tom.
It clarifies it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we still have a couple of minutes. Who would like to ask?
And Paulus, there is Agla's question. Is there the conditions where you notice it is impossible to create a team?
Yes, of course, and you can find more impossible teams than possible teams in our day-to-day, in our daily life. And for example, conflicting visions. My vision is absolutely incompatible, or my path as a person is like going this direction and company is going this direction. It's incompatible. And unless we can somehow reconcile those, it's not possible to be in that team, in fact. And then it turns into work for money, which is not very productive at all. If we work only for money, it's not productive. It's suffering. We create suffering with that. So here, of course, are values. Values are hidden here in the we-ness, by the way. Again, if values are very different, they're incompatible, the we-ness will never emerge, or it will be, I don't know conditions. I cannot imagine what to do, how to facilitate we-ness if values are opposites or they're absolutely not overlapping. So of course there are some conditions, and it's with this map, by the way, we can do good service for people who are suffering in teams. We can facilitate their ecological exit if it's not possible to reconcile it. And this is a good thing. By the way, no team in the world will last forever. No team. No person in this room will remain in the same team forever. One day you will leave the team that you are in. One day you will leave the job that you are in. So the question is not if, the question is when and how. So we, knowing this, we can leave very graciously. We can leave very, in a good way. We can leave and keep the relationships with our former team members. We can leave and go our way and bless the people who are going their way. We can leave and we can still linger and have those, moments of we-ness, moments of teamness, which will strengthen me on my way. So we can live very, I don't want to call it effectively. We can live with love, with grace, with high human standard. And again, this team intelligence map might help us to do the very good exit of the team. Yeah, and teams resolve because the team meaning might be fulfilled or the meaning change, and teams might resolve. And again, thanks to this map, we can do the final stages of, or we can organize the final stages of team life much better than without this map. So that's my take on the realities of life, that nothing is eternal except the soul, probably. Yes. Okay. And by the way, this is I don't want to go into that, but in fact, this something that is beyond physical is also emerging here. As those Venus, they are something that is slightly beyond physical, and this is beauty of our awareness also. Okay, so our time is almost up. Let me finish with little story, if I may, with little metaphor. Okay. The metaphor about internal team. I heard this metaphor from one of my colleagues and good friends. We had a conversation about not only about teams, but about the human thinking. And he said very nice idea that in fact our individual thinking is very much like team thinking, or our individual situation is very much like team situation, because what is happening in teams, we have different people with some different values, different goals, different life situations, and they have some sorts of conversation, and we need to work to make the conversations effective and value creating, right? But the same thing is inside of us. If you listen to your internal dialogue, you will recognize, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 10, 12, 20 voices, right? We have this parliament in our in our heads. And the idea of internal team might be also a very valuable idea. How to reconcile those conflicting perceptions of me, how to reconcile conflicting internal needs. And the knowledge of this picture or the knowledge of team processes might help very much to deal with our internal world, yeah, to reconcile our internal voices. And by the way, this is a very common phenomenon. I see it every single time. People who complete the team coaching training, they become much better individual coaches. This is because we can see that metaphoric similarity, that external team is mirrored by internal team. And we humans, we want to accept that reality, that world is complex. It's getting more complex. And just intelligence here is not enough. We want to build something that is beyond just intellect. We want to build something that might include, and in this aspect, I see the future of humanity. We want to build unity on next level, which would include our relationship, our intelligences, our individual beings. But without that, I don't see a very bright future. But good news is that we know that we have the science, we have some ideas, we have some models that work. And hopefully that this conversation also will help not only to deal with teams better, to be better team members or team leaders, but also to have this quality of your personal life also, by reconciliating your internal teams and admitting that, yes, there are different voices in my head. There are some relationships, there are some ideas that overlap and not overlap. But the goal is to create something that is beyond individual voice, that transcends and includes. So thank you for being here. Thank you for joining in such a big community of people loving coaching. So you have wonderful day, wonderful evening, wonderful morning, wherever you are. We are from all over the world, and let's connect in the world. Thank you so much for being here.